This segment we like to call Oh Canada, Oh Baby, and it's presented by CIBC. We dug in a little bit earlier into the on-field ramifications of the hiring of Jesse Marsch as the head coach of the Canadian men's national team. The question now goes to, or if we want to spin this back, the question can be asked, is why was Jesse Marsch hired above any other of the really qualified candidates who were interviewed over the course of this process? Do you have any insight, Jordan, into maybe the reasoning why Canada Soccer inevitably chose Jesse Marsch?
I think when you and I were speaking, what we suspect is what I've also heard is that he's just organized. I think when you come into an interview, this could be a situation where, dare I say, with Canadian soccer, there's a bit of fragility, or you want someone to come in with a clear idea of who they are, how they want to play, who do you want to bring in with you, and basically be no nonsense. Really give the Kevin Blue and everyone in the Canadian Soccer Association the confidence that you could turn things around. And I think that's what Jesse Marsch did when he went into the interview. I think that's the presence that he came with. So we hope it translates. And again, for me, I want it to be quicker. Of course, I'm going to give leeway because I don't think with football you snap your fingers and things happen. But you want to see a progressive a change within this program. And just now's the time. Now's the time for everyone to be on the same page.
Yeah, look, he interviewed phenomenally well. Okay, and I don't think that should surprise anybody.
No.
You know, you mentioned it, confidence, prepared. They're all the things that we've heard. The other word I would say for me that is very, very important, we're all going to get to know this hopefully, and that most people who have evaluated him and known him for a long time, is authenticity. And he's got to be authentic. He has to be. He has to be. And for me, I think that they understood that when they spoke to him. What this country needs is a leader, vocally, who can command a room. What the players need is a leader who can vocally command a room, but somebody who can speak with a presence, but then understand that it's still the players who will go out there and deliver the results, and still the players who need to be the heroes. And I understand that coaches now more than ever, what we've just seen in European football, and the amount of love that Klopp's got and Xabi Alonso's getting, and what's not working at Chelsea and what's not. Coaches navigate the storylines a lot. I understand that. But I do think sometimes, particularly in international football, it's about the players, and let the players understand that. And I think he will play a big part in all of this, but you can understand why, when you're in the room with him, why he would certainly interview better than the other names that have been mentioned.
Yeah, some other very impressive, very qualified names were up for this gig and did interview, but Marsch inevitably the one that gets the job. Jesse Marsch was part of the Call It What You Want podcast on CBS, alongside Jimmy Conrad and Charlie Davies, was full of praise for Canada Soccer General Secretary Kevin Blue.
As soon as I started the process with Canada, I was incredibly impressed. I will tell you right now that Kevin Blue, the Secretary General for Canada, is the best sports professional I've ever been around. He's incredibly sharp. He's intelligent. He can execute a plan. An intellectual, high-level thinker. And so I'm excited to work with him.
That's big praise. I mean, he's been part of the Red Bull setup, professionals there, Kevin Blue and the leadership within Canada Soccer, leaving a really positive impression on Jesse Marsch, KJ.
Yeah, people never forget how you make them feel. And obviously, Jesse Marsch felt all the love. He felt right away that Kevin Blue and Canada Soccer wanted him. They rolled out the red carpet for him. They wrapped up the contract negotiations within a couple of days. They got what he needed. And you could see from Jesse Marsch's point of view, which is another reason why he's not the U.S. coach right now, and the history between him and the U.S. Federation, that he values that. He values what people, morals and values, how they leave lasting impressions on him. And Kevin Blue left a massive impression on him.
I love that he's feeling good. I think for me, too, we mentioned on One Nation when we had you and Adam Jenkins and I talking, it's just like it's a village as well. I love that Jesse Marsch is there. I love that he's, butt heads with Kevin Blue and they can be friendly, but can we create position maybe to get more voices that could help out with this transition and going into 2026? I think for me, that's just as a fan, that's something I'd want to see.
I mean, this was a guy that went to Leeds because of Victor Orta. With the Red Bull setup, he was interviewed by Houllier and Ragnick, and Kevin Blue, full of praise. That's good news for everyone involved with Canadian football. Obviously, there was a philanthropic element to this hire in order to make the monies available for Marsch and his staff, future staff, to be hired, which involved MLS clubs. The 3 MLS clubs all putting money forward in support of this project. Here's what Marsch had to say about it.
Joey and I went to Bologna in the fall, and I met Thiago Motta. I watched Bologna train. Joey's son Luca works for Bologna now, and Joey and I had a really nice talk and kind of talked about our time in Montreal. It was really cathartic. He was apologetic. I was as well. I said, listen, I was young, Joey. I made a lot of mistakes, you know, and I'm very thankful for that opportunity. And I tell you, Joey and I kind of came together at that time, and he's been one of my biggest supporters in this process, along with Greg Kerfoot and MLSE, yes. And so, you know, I mean, it's really nice to see that, because when I left, there was so much competitive energy between the three MLS clubs in Canada. And now they've really come together, I think, to support my appointment. And along with that, we're working with the Canadian Premier League and a lot of the people there and a lot of the teams there, because there's work to be done with the domestic league.
I want to get this right, because based upon this arrangement with the MLS clubs, the official title of head coach with the men's national team is the MLS Canada men's national team head coach. This has obviously been a significant talking point, not only within our country, but worldwide. What does this actually mean? You've had some time to sit on this, Jordan. What do you make of this title?
I still don't know. And maybe it's the way I was raised, or being in 2024. I don't think that you drop money and then you don't expect something in return. So I just want to know what that means. And I guess we all don't know, but I guess we'll find out in the near future.
KJ?
Yeah, look, we don't have a ton of facts on this, right? So it's hard to talk about it from a factual point of view. So it's a different conversation from the side of the brain where we're trying to piece things together. And I hope people at home understand the difference levels, that we know certain things, this is not. What I will say is the facts are that this is unprecedented in world football, okay? To actually have a title placed like that. I understand from Jesse Marsch's point of view, and the facts are that he is very happy to receive the support from them, but he would not have got the job without them, in my opinion. So I think it's pretty clear from what Kevin Blue has said in the press release and in his press conference that in order to shop in that store where you went to go and interview the managers that you did, they needed extra help in that budget search to get that manager. So in order to go buy what you needed extra funds to get what you initially went out to buy, which you initially couldn't afford with what was in your pocket, if that makes sense.
And what do they get out of that?
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
Dire straits, money for nothing. Like, people just don't hand out money for nothing. And I'm sorry, in the press release, it mentioned that this is what hospitals do, or golf tournament. Like, this isn't a golf tournament. This is a national team job. And the concern that other people have told me is, what does this mean for maybe not the national team in the way that it plays out in terms of selection, but maybe youth national teams, player pathways, who's going to get preferential treatment? Is there going to be preferential treatment? All of these things need to be ironed out, because you want to make sure that all the stakeholders in the game feel that they're appreciated and have a significant role to play, just not ones who sign over a check, KJ, to give a few more dollars to hire a coach.
Completely. I agree with that. This is where, again, Kevin Blue and Jesse Marsch need to be authentic and self-aware. Jesse Marsch has mentioned the Canadian Premier League in his answer there. We've heard him talk about the Canadian Premier League a lot already. The previous manager barely spoke about the Canadian Premier League. So these things are self-awareness, to be aware of that and, not hiding in plain sight. I will add, though, this is a little bit, it is very important, but I do think the fans at home don't care.
No.
They don't care about that stuff. They care about results. And if this manager turns out to be, and I told him this in the press conference, it is one of the most significant hires in Canadian sports history. And if he turns out to be a home run, nobody will care how it's done.
No. But
well said.
Unfortunately, we've lived in a world in recent years where the political side of things have become very public-facing. And that's what you don't want to see. If this is a smash hit, if it's successful, if everyone becomes aligned and some of the noise stays in the background, then that's not a problem, and leave it there. Yeah. The problem is that hasn't been the recent track record. And let's hope that isn't the track record, that this new beginning really is a fresh start with a fresh face as the head coach of the Canadian men's national team. One Soccer Today, Mondays and Thursdays. On one of these One Soccer Todays, I got to give my starting 11.
Yeah.
For what Marsh's team will look like, okay? I'll do that. Maybe Thursday, because today's Monday.
Do it Thursday.
One show this week. I look ahead to the Canadian Championship action this week is next on Match Night.